This is what happens when you rush. Sure, both are done, but only one of them is a good result. Now imagine that turkey is your candle business. If you're trying to move too fast, pushing product before it's ready, skipping the testing, sprinting to scale, you might not even realize you're burning everything down before you even get started. So today, we're going to talk about what it looks like to rush the process versus what it looks like to build something that lasts. Hi everyone, my name is Wade. I'm the owner of Black Tie Barn Candle Company. Here on this channel, we talk about candle making, running a candle business, tips and tricks along the way, and some inspiration, motivation as well. And if you're unfamiliar with the brand, check out blacktiebarn.com. Again, we offer educational resources there, as well as our fragrance oils, candle dyes, candle wicks, and so on to help you makers make good products. But that being said, that is not the focus of today's video. Today's video is another educational one, and the importance of taking things slowly and doing things the right way, not rushing to get something out. So let's start off with the first topic, the temptation to rush. Look, everyone loves the excitement of starting something new, and that can tempt you to want to hurry to get that new thing going. Make you hurry, skip steps, rush the process because you're just so anxious, and there's nothing wrong with being anxious. In fact, that's actually a positive sign that you enjoy what you're doing. There should be a little bit of passion and motivation and desire and initiative when it comes to candle making, any craft, or starting a business. But there's a difference between motivation, determination, versus rushing the process. So one of the biggest hurdles that new candle makers or new business owners in general, any type of small business, one of the biggest temptations for new business owners is to get overly excited and to rush the process. And a lot of this pressure comes from social media pressure. Everyone looks like they're winning, and everyone looks like they're winning fast. Because like most things on social media, you're usually only seeing the bright side of things and not all the hard work, time, failures that went into winning in the first place. People do this with their relationships, personal life, and business. So don't get too overly enamored. Don't worry about keeping up with the Joneses. If you see other companies out there releasing new products that seem like they're releasing them very fast and they're taking off and everything is just blowing up for them, keep in mind some perspective. There's a lot you don't see. In fact, you're only probably seeing 1% of what's actually going on. So try not to be overly pressured by social media. It's the new form of peer pressure. So when I'm talking about that social media pressure where it looks like everyone's doing amazing things and so quickly and everything's working for them and like, why can't you do that too? Just remember, you're not seeing everything. It's like that turkey that was cooking. You saw the end result 3 hours later, but you didn't see the 3 hours before that went into baking the cookie. Turkey, whatever. Point is, don't let others pressure you into not taking your time. Another temptation is that internal voice of, I need to launch now, or I'm gonna miss my chance. Now, I will personally say this is one of the struggles that I had because I tend to have a very analytical mind. I like finances, I like metrics, I like analysis, I like calculations and numbers and puzzles and solving problems. So for me, a lot of what I do is look at opportunity cost. And so the way my brain works is I look at everything as like a decision matrix. So I have choices. And if I choose choice A, what am I sacrificing by doing that versus choosing choice B? And if I choose choice B, what am I giving up by not choosing choice A? And so my whole brain, that's my whole mindset, is weighing opportunity cost, the cost of what I'm not getting by doing something else. And by the way, everything has an opportunity cost. So that should be the first thing to keep in mind is there's no way to avoid that. You can't run away from opportunity cost. So there's always going to be pros and cons to what you do. However, the opportunity cost that I would struggle with was if I don't launch now, I'm going to miss my chance. So for me, when I would wait or decide to wait to launch or release a new product, for me, the cost of doing that was time, the cost of sales, the cost of growth, the cost of being able to get something going. And there's some truth to that. You can have paralysis by analysis where you just sit around and overthink and overanalyze and you never do anything. But that's different than rushing the process because you just feel like you got to get something out. You got to have an MVP, minimal viable product, which just simply means you need to have something pretty good that meets all the minimum requirements. So at the very least, that should be safety and performance, pretty much for any product. But try to resist that temptation that you have to hurry up and get something out or you're going to miss your chance. Instead of looking at it as a cost of waiting, look at it as a benefit of taking your time. So you could launch today and have a flop, or you could launch in 3 months from now and have a banger. So look at it from a more positive outlook. And me saying that is sort of irony itself because that's not really how I think, but now you can see why this was one of my struggles. So try to avoid that temptation of I have to hurry before I miss my opportunity. And then the last temptation we're going to talk about real briefly is this bad trend going on right now of hustle culture and gurus. And I got to tell you, I mean, I struggle with this one a little bit too because I appreciate the hustle culture, but not to the level that it is now. I do believe that you've got to work really hard to get what you want. And that's how I've been my whole life. I've been involved in business, and I've been, I guess, thinking and acting like a 35-year-old ever since I was like 16. And that's just how I am. I like to put a lot of effort in. I don't really like to just kind of half-ass things. My point is, while I appreciate hustle and hard work, you can overdo it. And this day and age, you kind of have this dichotomy of two different types of workers or types of people these days. People that have gotten kind of lazy and it's hard to get them to do anything. And then the other side is people that are doing way too much and never slow down, never appreciate anything, don't have good work-life balance. Try to fall somewhere in the middle there, and then try to resist too many gurus. Now, I know what you're thinking, like you're watching a YouTube channel from me talking about how to start a candle business and run a candle business. And so in some respects, I'm one of those gurus, so to speak. But I don't mean guru as like an educator or a resource. I mean, try to resist all these like sort of fake gurus and all these different platforms that are just trying to hype you up and pressure you and like, I don't know, it's just too much. I think you know what I mean when I say gurus. Spend any time on YouTube these days on any other topic and you will see gurus galore, and it's just a little annoying. All right, topic number 2 we're gonna cover is what rushing actually gets you. In this case, the burnt bird. Here's the problem with rushing, and it's not just the obvious one of putting out a product that isn't ready, which is a pretty big deal. You also have wasted materials from skipping over proper testing. That could be wax, jars, fragrance, wicks, because when you don't test thoroughly, you end up with a lot more wasted bad product. Now, I know a lot of people are thinking, well, testing waste product, and I hate doing that. When I'm starting out, I don't have a lot of money to invest in testing and purchasing new materials. And look, that's part of doing business. So if you're not ready or don't have the financial means or the resources to invest in proper testing, proper product development, and willing to invest in materials to help you get there, then this is not a hobby for you or a business for you. Like any business or hobby, it takes some time to master the craft. And in doing that, you're going to have to test, you're going to have to experiment, you're going to have to invest, whether that's time, money, energy. It's going to require an investment. Don't look at it as wasteful. Look at it as practice makes perfect. Another one we mentioned already was inconsistent or unsafe products. The problem with not testing, the problem with rushing is you're not giving your products enough thorough testing. And that could be, again, for overall performance. Maybe they don't smell strong. Maybe they don't burn right. Maybe their customers aren't happy. Maybe they look like crap. I don't know. But you're not putting enough time and effort into actually testing them thoroughly. The other problem isn't just how well they perform. You could have inconsistent results. For those of you that have been doing this for a long time, you know that you will have random times where things just seem inconsistent. If you use a lot of wood wicks, or if you change manufacturers on your waxes or your fragrance oils or your wicks, things can be very inconsistent. It can take a little while to dial those in. And the longer you use your products, the longer you make your products, the more comfort and feel you have for them and the better you understand them, which makes it easier to make them consistent, but also easier to troubleshoot them if you find a problem. And then, of course, safety. Now, we've already talked about this. I've got other videos on the channel that talk about this in more detail. But if you're not testing for safety, the jar's not getting too hot, the wick's not getting too big, it's not mushrooming too much. And again, this is talking about candles specifically, but this applies to any business, any product business, any service-based business. Make sure the product or service you're offering is safe. If it's not, that's on you. Your insurance won't cover that. There's no protection for negligence. There's no protection for releasing bad products or poor service. So keep that in mind. Testing is worth every minute. Next, what does rushing get you? Total burnout. I will tell you the hardest part about starting a candle business, and again, I would argue this is the case for most businesses, is the first year. There's so much work and grind and effort and time and money that goes into trying to start something new, make new products, especially if you're making handmade products in that first year. That is by far the hardest chunk of the business. And the only way to prevent yourself from getting completely burnt out is if you pace yourself. All right, so think of that first year, the first couple years of business as a marathon. You're not just sprinting the whole time. You're taking it easy. You're pacing yourself. You're setting milestones. You can get off to a good start. When you get a little boost of energy, you can pick it up a little bit. And then when you see one of those goals in sight or see that finish line, you can turn on the jets and go for it. But it's important to pace yourself. Business is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And then lastly, and this one again specifically applies to my experience, and that is a business that is rushed ends up feeling chaotic. Not grounded, not smooth running, chaotic. And I would tell you again, from personal experience, this has been a problem for me for a long time, and I do it to myself. I absolutely do it to myself, and I'm fully aware of that. I'm a very self-aware person. That helps me tell others what to do and what not to do. I'm just not like super great at doing it myself, but that's beside the point. Look, one of the ways you're gonna get burnt out in that first year or two, and one of the ways your business can fail, and one of the reasons that rushing things leads to problems is because it just gets too chaotic and hard to manage. You wanna keep things simple as possible. You know the acronym KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple, all right? Or you're gonna look stupid. That's not exactly what it means. But keep things simple. Don't overcomplicate things. Don't overwhelm yourself. Pace yourself. Take your time. Try to avoid all those temptations. Try to avoid the burnout. And you will not have to see what rushing can do to your business. You won't have to deal with the burnt turkey. And honestly, slowing down isn't just about safety and productivity. It's actually also about how you get better at what you do. And that's where I want to shout out today's sponsor, Craftsy. If you've never checked it out, Craftsy is an online learning platform with over 2,000 classes in things like woodworking, cake decorating, sewing, photography, pretty much any creative skill that you can think of. When I started to get more hands-on with my business, besides just candle making, for example, building displays for craft booths or making props for my photos, I realized I didn't really know even some basic woodworking skills on how to do some of that. I found this class on Craftsy called Build a Little Library by George Vandriska. And the way it broke everything down, exactly what I needed, no rushing, no fluff, just step by step with a pro showing you how it's done. And I know what you're thinking, why a class on building a little library? Well, this class in particular showed some really good fundamentals on basic woodworking, which really helps on learning how to build little displays that you can use in your booths, your craft events. I've already done a few that I use actually in the warehouse as well. And that's what I love the most about Craftsy. It's not about cramming in quick tips, tricks, or hacks. It's about learning the right way so you can grow the skill, build the confidence, and do it right, which is exactly what this video was about. If you want to check it out, Craftsy is offering a great deal for Black Tie Barn viewers, an entire year of their premium membership for just $1.49. That's not a typo. That's $1.49 for the entire year. New members only. The link's right down in the description and pinned comment. It's a great way to sharpen your skills at your own pace. Thanks again for Craftsy for supporting creators like myself and helping you all build something that actually lasts. Now, topic number 3, what slow cooking or taking it slow looks like. Now, we're not going to go into the details of each one because we just talked about all the things that are bad about rushing it and why you should avoid it. So what does taking it slow look like? What does that mean? It simply means taking time to test properly, for performance, for safety, for consistency, getting customer feedback, building reliability, building trust. It also means learning and adjusting before investing in anything too big. Again, that's a way to make your life chaotic. That's a way to make your life stressed. That's a way to make you feel burnt out, whether that's time, energy, or financially. Take your time, learn, adjust, then you can invest once you feel comfortable. Also, taking it time gives you a chance to build real systems. And this can be systems for productivity, shipping, customer service, adding more products, labeling, product development. Did I already say that? I don't know. But taking your time allows you to build systems to help, I don't want to say automate, but help make your business a little bit smoother and more functional without relying on you grinding 24/7, burning yourself out. Take your time, and every time that you find a way you can systematize a process or something in your business or in your craft, take the time to do that. Another benefit with slower launches is you get better branding, better storytelling, better results, better traction, and more longevity. And that's the key to running a successful business is you don't want to be a one-hit wonder. You don't want to peak quickly and then fall off the mountain. You want to take your time, gradually build trust, build customer loyalty, build your brand, build brand awareness. That's the kind of thing that makes a business successful. And then lastly, I touched on this earlier too. The benefit of taking your time is you actually learn your craft. You develop confidence. You learn about your products. You're not just following instructions from the back of a box. You are learning how to master your craft your products. The more you know about your products, the more consistent you can make them, the easier it is to troubleshoot them when they have issues, the more confident you can speak about them when you're talking to customers, the easier it is to sell them. Take your time, learn your brand, master your product, much better results, I promise. Topic number 4 here is just a little bit more real talk and personal experience. Now, I've mentioned that I've struggled with a few of these myself. So I've been in business for quite some time now. I don't know, going on 15 years, something like that. I don't even know anymore. But when I first started out, oh my gosh, guys, I was like a hamster in a wheel. I was just like, go, 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 go. And I couldn't slow down. I was overinvesting in everything. Before I knew it, I had over $10,000 worth of oils from other companies just sitting on my shelf. Instead of learning how to make 6 good candles, I thought I was going to make 5,000 candles. So I didn't sample enough. I didn't test enough. I didn't experiment enough. The reason I have this channel, the reason I'm so engaged with all of you, and the reason I decided to start selling materials and products to help you is I've gone through this all. I went through all of this when there were no resources like there is today. And so the learning curve back then was a lot longer, but I also, honestly, I think it was better. And so I'm not knocking anyone starting today, obviously, but what I'm saying is I feel like a lot of people these days are missing out on that real true growth of learning how to do something themselves. And so it's great that there's resources out there, but a lot of times these resources are causing people to sort of rush the process and skip ahead and take people for their word. And I even tell you all, anything I tell you, trust but verify. And I warn people all the time about advice you see, whether it's in other videos or in blogs or on websites, especially in Facebook groups. I see a lot of information spread around in those groups that I just don't even agree with. But you live and learn and you experiment and you try new things. But there's a lot of misinformation out there. So test, trust, but verify. And the reason I mention all that is when I started, there were no resources. Like really none at all. I actually called around to manufacturers. I spoke with people that at the time hardly anyone wanted to speak with me because I was just some random dude from Kansas City. They're like, who the hell is this guy? Like I'm not going to take the time to talk to him. I've got a couple really long-term relationships in the industry that were awesome from day one and talked to me from the get-go. And they're friends of mine today, and we've stayed close. 15 years later, I see them once or twice a year at conventions, and it's just a lot of fun because I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for them, because they saw enough in me at the time to make it worth their time to talk with me. And I really appreciate that. But that was it. That was all the resources I had. Everything else was just about buying stuff and trying stuff and seeing what works. You don't have to do that near as much today. Whether, like I said, whether it's groups, channels, whatever, there's a lot of resources telling you at least good starting points, which is great. But trust but verify. And so one of my mistakes back then was trying to do too much too quickly. Now, it took a while back then because you didn't have resources. So I was trying to speed things up for myself by trying to do too many things at once. Now, some of you and part of me are probably sitting here right now, like I'm thinking, well, it obviously didn't work out too badly. I've got a great business now. I've been in business for 15 years and things are awesome, but it wasn't always like that. And I overly complicated my life. And the earlier years was causing so much burnout that I stopped multiple times within the first few years. All right. It wasn't until I finally had a more clear direction, really took my time to master the craft, knew what I wanted to do, started putting a long-term game plan into action. So instead of looking at things like the next day, I thought, here's what I want to be in a year, in 5 years. What milestones do I need to set to get there? When I break it down like this, it takes a lot of pressure off because now you have a plan. You have something to follow, right? And that's why, slowing down, it changed the game for me. Now, I'm back in this last couple of years, it's been back to a lot of rushing, but not so much, rushing is probably the wrong word because we have processes. We know what we're doing at this point. We're pretty established, but it's not about rushing. It's about trying to take on too many things with too many other things already going on. So we've got a lot of lines in the water and we're just trying to manage them all and figure out which one we need to reel in at given times. We've got some really huge, big changes coming up at Black Tie Barn within the next couple months. I'm not going to share them right now, but if you're interested, subscribe to the channel so that, because I'll definitely be posting videos. And there will be several of them as some of these things develop. Anyways, I'm not the only example like that. I have a lot of people that have followed this channel for years. Well, this channel's only been around a few years, but they've been around since the beginning and they knew me from before the channel in groups and forums and things like that. And when they started off, it was slow, but it was slow and steady. And now they're very successful. Now, there's countless examples of those. In fact, almost everyone that I know in the industry that is doing really well took their time and did it the right way. Hardly any of them rushed it at all. And there are some examples of people that got really quick wins. It could have been from COVID or something that went viral, but those they fall off. They fall off. You're trying to build something that lasts. So again, just a reminder, everyone wants to go fast, but slow is strong. If you want to build something that lasts, take your time, build a solid foundation to build upon. You don't want something that's weak and unsteady and that's going to crumble at the first sign of resistance. So take your time, build a foundation. So do me a favor, in the comments, let me know one of your biggest struggles, whether it's just a hobby right now or running a business, and it doesn't have to be candle business, it could be any small business. Let me know what part of your candle or otherwise business journey you're on that you feel like you're struggling, and let me know of one area that you're going to tell yourself it's okay to slow down. Let me know in the comments one area of improvement you plan to work on. Like I said, if you're interested in doing this the right way, that's what we try to teach here on this channel. So subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up if you like it so YouTube will recommend more helpful videos to you in the future, and make sure you don't miss out on any of ours as well. So with that being said, thank you again for Craftsy for sponsoring today's video. And don't forget, the first 1,000 of you to click on the link in the description below will get a premium access to Craftsy for $1.49. That's it, $1.49. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment, and I'll see y'all next time.